Hello, my dear friend, and welcome to a night of myth and rain. Before we begin our odyssey, please take a moment to gently tap the like button and let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Now find a cozy spot, dim the lights, and allow the soft patter of rain to soothe your spirit as we journey together. Tonight, you will wander those hidden corridors and witness the moments that shaped Athena's heart, her triumphs, and her secret sorrows. Feel the weight of her helmet upon you and the ache of centuries of solitude in your chest. What burdens does wisdom bear in the still of midnight? What secrets lie behind her calm, gray eyes? A gentle breeze whispers through the hall, carrying Athena's voice as it invites you onward. Curiosity shivers through your veins. Beyond the bronze doors ahead, a memory stirs, a quiet storm about to unfold. Are you ready to step through and discover why no mortal could last a night in Athena's mind? Perhaps it's time to find out. You push open the heavy bronze doors, and a wave of darkness greets you. For a moment, you feel confined, as if you're tucked in a tight, airless space. It's strangely warm here, the darkness pulsing with a distant heartbeat. Thump, thump, thump. It's the heartbeat of Zeus, and you are inside his mind, inside his very skull. A dull ache presses against you from all sides. You hear a low groan reverberating through the dark. Zeus is in agony, and the pressure builds by the second. You feel his pain as if it were your own, a thunderous pounding that crescendos, until you wonder, how much more of this can even a goddess endure? Suddenly, a sharp crack splits the darkness. Light sears in, a sliver at first, then a dazzling flood. You gasp silently as the world around you cleaves open. In a burst of blinding brilliance, you are thrust outward. Cool air strikes your face, and you instinctively draw your first breath of open air. The space that confined you falls away. Zeus's skull has been split by a divine axe, and from its cleft summit you emerge at last. You step forward and find yourself standing tall in a grand hall of Olympus. Marble columns rise around you, their white stone shimmering in the golden light of dawn. The air is crisp and carries the faint scent of clouds and ambrosia. Raindrops from the mortal world patter softly in the distance, their rhythm echoing through the hall as if the very sky is applauding this extraordinary birth. All around, you catch shimmering forms of Olympus's great immortals. Golden Apollo with his lyre hand paused midair, Artemis with her moon-pale eyes widened in rare surprise, Hermes hovering at the edge of the circle on winged sandals, peering at you with boyish curiosity. Hera stands a step behind Zeus's throne, her lips pressed together in a thin line as she regards you, her husband's child by another, and born in such uncanny fashion. Even the usually boisterous Dionysus is speechless, wine cup frozen halfway to his mouth. In that charged silence, every eye is upon you. A hush falls over the assembled gods. They encircle you in astonishment. You look down at yourself and see you are already clad in gleaming armor from head to toe. A bronze helmet rests upon your brow. Amazingly, It feels like it has always been there. A shield hangs at your side, embossed with unknown symbols that seem both ancient and familiar. In your right hand, you grip a long spear that hums with quiet power. Fully grown, fully armed, you have arrived in the world not as a helpless infant, but as a warrior maiden, eyes bright and gray like storm clouds breaking to sunlight. Zeus stands before you, breathing hard, the king of gods, recovering from the strange ordeal. The great Zeus, your father, though you were not born of any mortal or immortal mother in the usual way. He blinks, his face a mixture of relief, pride, and lingering shock. At his feet lies the axe that cleaved his head open. It was Hephaestus's axe, forged of bronze and magic, now still and bloodless beside Zeus's throne. There is no gore, no ordinary birthing cry, only the radiant spectacle of your arrival. In that first moment, you instinctively let out a sound, a strong, clear shout that rings through Olympus. It's not the wail of a newborn, but a clarion proclamation of existence. The hall trembles ever so slightly. Distant thunderheads disperse at the sound of your voice. Your cry is filled with courage and life. Mother Earth herself, Gaia, seems to rumble softly in approval beneath your feet, and high above, Uranus the sky vibrates with recognition. As the echo of your voice fades, the silence breaks into murmurs of wonder. Apollo's lyre string quivers in surprise. Hera watches with narrowed eyes, uncertain whether to feel awe or bitterness, for you are a child not born of her womb. Poseidon, standing in a shimmering pool of conjured seawater, cocks his head curiously. The sea god's trident rests uneasily in his grip, as if sensing that a new power has entered the world. And Zeus steps forward, towering and mighty, but in his gaze you catch a glint of something fragile behind the pride. Is it fear? You know somehow why that fear might be there. Though you have just been born, wisdom flows in your veins, a gift from the mother you never met. Zeus swallowed your mother Metis, the tightness of wisdom, to prevent the birth of a child prophesied to surpass him. He hoped to outwit fate by keeping mother and unborn daughter locked away inside himself. Yet here you stand, fate realized despite his efforts. You blink, and for an instant, you think you feel a gentle presence within you, a whisper of comfort, like a warm hand on your shoulder. Perhaps it is Metis' spirit, a quiet part of you, offering guidance from within. Or perhaps it is just a wish. Zeus extends a trembling hand towards you. "My daughter," he breathes, in a voice that tries to boom with authority, but cracks with relief. Cautiously, you reach out and place your hand in his. His palm is warm and large, engulfing your smaller, gauntleted hand. He pulls you closer, and you kneel before him out of instinctive respect, bowing your head. He places a fatherly hand on your armored shoulder. You feel the weight of it, heavy with expectation, and something like love, or as close to love as Zeus can manage. In that touch is an unspoken message. You are mine, you are important, and you will be perfect. Around you, the gods begin to cheer now, finding their voices. The tension in the hall eases as they celebrate this marvelous birth. Golden sunlight spreads across the floor, chasing away any remaining shadows. Hephaestus gives a shy, proud smile, perhaps pleased at having helped bring you forth in his own way. Aphrodite claps politely, her eyes already drifting away, for war and wisdom are not her interests. Hermes zips closer for a better look at you, curiosity bright on his face, while Ares crosses his arms, sensing a future rival in warcraft. Amid this commotion, you feel a strange calm in your heart. You have arrived in the world as Athena, daughter of Zeus, born in armor and wisdom. But even as you stand in triumph, welcomed with amazement, a quiet void makes itself known in you. No mother's gentle arms hold you. No soft blanket swaddles you. You were never a baby cooed over and cradled. You skipped the innocence of childhood entirely. In this hall full of gods, you stand alone in your own unique category. The child who was born a woman, sprung from a headache and a fear. A single thought flutters through your mind like a sparrow seeking shelter. Will anyone ever see you as anything other than Zeus's perfect daughter? The applause swirls around you, yet you feel the pressure of expectation coil around your heart. Already, before you've even spoken a word, everyone sees you as the embodiment of wisdom and war. Flawless, strong, unyielding. They cheer for the idea of you, but none truly know you. How could they? You yourself are just seconds old, and yet you carry ancient Medus's wisdom and the weight of Zeus's ambitions on your shoulders. Outside the golden hall, a gentle rain begins to fall from the heavens, as if the world can sense the significance of this moment. Raindrops tap against the marble ledge of a high window, each droplet catching the morning light before sliding down like a tiny crystal. The sound is soothing, a natural lullaby that contrasts with the excitement indoors. You take a steadying breath, letting that soft patter calm the tremor of uncertainty in your chest. Zeus guides you to stand beside him, presenting you to the assembly. As you rise, your armor chimes softly. You gaze out at the divine faces, some smiling, some calculating, and you manage a small, serene smile of your own. It is the first mask you learn to wear, the calm assurance of the wise. Already you understand that here, weakness must not show. Athena must be confident, composed, worthy of the thunderous birth that announced her. And so, you straighten your shoulders, holding the spear with a steady hand. In the back of your mind, that little void remains, a quiet, lonely corner. But you tuck it away behind your newfound pride. Tonight is a night of celebration, you tell yourself. There will be time to ponder those empty spaces in quieter moments. For now, you are Athena, the unshakable, the bright-eyed, born in glory and the intellect. Who would ever suspect that a goddess so formed in splendor could feel a hollow ache within? Do you even understand it yourself yet? Perhaps not. Not now amid the jubilation. Zeus laughs, a booming laugh of joy and relief, and the gods raise their cups in a toast to you. Nectar flows, and the feast of your birth begins. Music starts up, lively flutes and drums echoing through Olympus. You stand at Zeus's side as handmaidens crown you with a wreath of olive leaves, the symbol of peace and prosperity that one day will become your emblem. Olive. You don't know why, but the aroma of the leaves soothes you, reminding you of something you cannot name, a memory that isn't quite yours, perhaps Metis walking in an olive grove, or a simple hope of peace nestled in your warlike birth. As the festivities whirl around, your gaze drifts to that window, to the rain beyond the divine realm's barrier. The droplets streak the sky like silver threads. To the others, it's just a passing shower in the human world, but to you, each gentle drop feels significant. They are the tears that no one here will ever see you cry, soft, secret, and cleansing. You blink away the thought and return your attention to the feast. Laughter and praise wash over you. You raise a golden goblet as Athena, poised and gracious. But deep inside, you hold on to that sound of rain. It will become a comfort to you in times ahead, a reminder of quiet solitude amid greatness. In this first night of your existence, you learn to wear pride and composure like armor over your heart. It feels natural, almost easy, as if you were forged for this role. Perhaps you were. Yet a question forms quietly in your mind, echoing beneath the music. What is the cost of being born without weakness? The revelry of Olympus slowly fades like a painting washing away in the rain. The grand hall grows indistinct, and you feel yourself drifting forward through time, pulled by the current of Athena's memories. The golden light of the feast dims, and when illumination returns, it is the gentle glow of a late afternoon sun. You find yourself standing on the edge of a wide, tranquil lake. The air here is warm and rich with the scent of summer blossoms and damp earth. Tall reeds whisper as a breeze glides over the water's surface. Bees hum among wildflowers scattered in the grass, and somewhere a dove coos softly, as if nature itself were at ease. The lake's surface glitters, reflecting the clear blue above. It must be somewhere on Earth, or perhaps an idyllic corner of the god's realm that mirrors the mortal world's beauty. The sky is a flawless blue, dotted with soft white clouds that drift lazily. A peaceful scene that belies the training ground it has become. In the shallows near the lake's edge, two figures dance and clash in friendly combat. You recognize one immediately, Athena, though she looks younger somehow. Her bronze armor is lighter, and her helmet is set aside on the grassy bank. Clad in a simple chaton belted for agility, she moves with confidence and grace. Sunlight catches in her dark hair as she ducks and parries, a wooden practice spear in her hands. She is laughing, a bright, carefree sound you did not hear during her birth celebration. Opposite her is another young woman, equally formidable and radiant. This must be Pallas. You sense a kinship between the two. Their movements are in harmony, even as they spar. Pallas's skin glows with the faint golden sheen of divinity, and her eyes are keen and focused. She wields a spear as well, and the two women circle each other in the shallows, bare feet splashing lightly in the cool water. Nearby, perched on a rock, a tall bearded figure watches over them. Triton, a sea god and Pallas's father, observes with a mixture of pride and wariness. It's said that after her birth, Athena was entrusted to Triton to raise alongside his own daughter. Here they are, two girls at play under his watchful eye, turning play into skill. You step closer, the grass soft under your feet, and the sun-warmed water lapping at your toes. Dragonflies skim the lake's surface, their iridescent wings glinting. Each time Athena and Pallas's spears meet, there's a satisfying wooden thwack. They've been at it for hours by the look of the scattered footprints in the mud and the sheen of sweat on their brows, but neither seems to tire of the contest. Athena lunges, and Pallas nimbly sidesteps. Pallas counters, twirling her spear with playful flourish. Athena blocks, and their laughter rings out as each tries to surprise the other with a clever feint or a burst of speed. There is no malice here, only the joy of two close friends pushing each other to improve. Athena, for once, is not burdened by any throne or expectation. She's simply a young goddess enjoying a sunny afternoon with someone who understands her. In Pallas's company, Athena can be competitive yet unguarded, fierce yet friendly. It's a glimpse of who she might have been had she been born into a simpler life. You feel a warmth in your chest watching them. This is a side of Athena one would hardly imagine, laughing, carefree, her eyes alight not with stern wisdom, but with youthful excitement. What would Olympus think to see its dignified goddess of wisdom splashing like a child in a lake? The thought makes you smile. Here, Athena doesn't have to be the perfect daughter or the unerring voice of reason. She can just be herself. Triton claps suddenly, calling out in a booming voice, "Enough for now. Come, daughters, take a rest." Athena and Pallas break apart, panting lightly, and share a grin of mutual respect. They wade out of the water together, droplets sparkling on their legs. As they approach Triton, and you standing quietly nearby, Athena slings an arm around Pallas's shoulders affectionately. Pallas laughs and leans into her friend, giving her a playful bump with her hip. "That was a good one," Athena praises between breaths, referring to a particular maneuver Pallas used. "You nearly had me with that last feint." Her gray eyes shine with genuine admiration. "And you almost knocked me into the reeds twice," Pallas shoots back, chuckling. "You're getting faster, Athena." Triton hands each of them a clay cup of fresh spring water. The girls drink gratefully. Up close, you see Pallas's face more clearly. She is as lovely as any nymph, with a confidence in her stance that mirrors Athena's own. You can sense why they are friends. Both have warrior spirits and keen minds. Pallas reaches up to pluck a lily from Athena's damp hair, a flower that must have fallen on her during their bout rolling through the shallows, and Athena laughs, swatting playfully at Pallas's hand. For a time, everything is peaceful. The friends sit on the grass to rest, and Triton moves off a ways, tending to a small campfire to heat up a simple meal. You linger near Athena, sensing her contentment in this moment. She stretches out on her back, looking at the clouds drifting above. Pallas flops beside her. In a lazy gesture of camaraderie, Pallas takes Athena's hand, and the two lie there hand in hand, staring at the sky as sisters might. Athena closes her eyes and soaks in the warmth. Sometimes, I wish it could always be like this, she admits softly. You hear the vulnerability in her tone, a gentle longing. Pallas turns her head to look at Athena. Like what? Training by the lake? She teases lightly. Athena smiles, her eyes still closed. No, I mean simple. Just us. No politics of Olympus. No battles to fight except pretend ones. Just peace. Her voice is nearly a whisper under the hum of summer. Pallas's smile fades into a more thoughtful expression. She squeezes Athena's hand. I do too, but we're not ordinary, Athena. You and I, we have destinies beyond this lakeshore. At that, Athena opens her eyes and sighs. I know. It's silly of me to say. She turns her head and meets Pallas's gaze earnestly. I'm grateful, though, for you, I mean. Whatever comes, having you as a friend. She trails off, and Pallas finishes the sentiment by squeezing her hand again. You'll always have me, Pallas declares, firm and bright. The two share a laugh and release hands, both a little bashful at the open display of affection. Athena clears her throat as if to break the tender moment and sits up. Shall we go again? She asks, eager to move, to do what they love. Her cheeks still carry a rosy glow from the exercise or the emotion, perhaps both. Pallas groans playfully. Already? You're relentless. But there's a spark in her eyes that shows she's just as eager. She jumps to her feet, brushing grass off her legs. All right, one more round before we eat. But when I win, I get the larger share of honey cakes tonight. Athena stands and tosses Pallas her wooden spear with a grin. Deal, and if I win, you have to polish my armor. Both girls giggle at the wager. Nearby, Triton shakes his head with a chuckle and returns to stirring the pot over the fire, used to their competitive banter. You move to the side as the two young goddesses take their positions again by the water. Their bare feet slide over mud and stone, finding purchase. Athena takes up a defensive stance. Pallas twirls her spear and narrows her eyes, planning her approach. Despite the levity, when they spar, they give it their all. This time, their bout is swifter and more intense. They know each other's moves well by now. Pallas thrusts, Athena parries, Athena feints left, Pallas dodges right. Their breaths come faster. The clearing echoes with the hollow clack of wood on wood and the soft grunts of exertion. Both are smiling, but their focus is razor sharp. Each girl is determined to best the other just this once. Athena sweeps low, and Pallas hops over the arc of the spear, retaliating with a lunge aimed at Athena's exposed side. The tip of Pallas's practice spear grazes Athena's rib, and Athena gasps at the sudden touch. Before Pallas can declare victory, Athena responds with a bold move. She spins inward instead of retreating, trapping Pallas's spear under her arm and wrenching it downward. It's a maneuver Pallas did not expect, and it leaves her momentarily unarmed. Triumph surges in Athena's chest. Maybe a bit of Zeus's competitive fire runs in her blood. She steps forward, pressing her advantage. Pallas scrambles back, laughing in surprise, and in 2 heartbeats, Athena has her friend off balance. But then, something shifts. Perhaps it is the pride in Athena's eyes, or a sudden determination in Pallas's stance, but the mood subtly changes from playful to serious. Pallas's grin fades into a determined line. She sidesteps Athena's next thrust by a hair's breadth. Unbeknownst to the girls, Zeus himself has appeared at the edge of the clearing in a shimmer of divine light, drawn by curiosity to see his daughter's training. He remains hidden from mortal eyes, but you see him watching from behind a stand of cedar trees, his form obscured and transparent, like a mirage. No one notices Zeus's arrival, not Athena, not Pallas, not even Triton, who is humming to himself over the cooking fire. Pallas, now weaponless, suddenly lunges forward to grapple Athena, trying to take her by surprise and reclaim her spear. They struggle, kicking up splashes of water. Athena is strong, but Pallas fights with an unexpected ferocity, determined not to lose this match. The two fall and roll in the shallows, sending droplets flying. For a heartbeat, they resemble 2 lion cubs tussling. Athena is laughing again, exhilarated by the contest. But there's an edge of frustration, too. Pallas is a challenging opponent. Just as Pallas manages to snatch a spare wooden dagger from the strap at her thigh and holds it triumphantly toward Athena's collar in a mock finishing blow, Zeus intervenes. Perhaps from his hidden vantage point, he mistook the friendly struggle for real danger to his daughter, or perhaps he simply couldn't resist meddling. With a flick of his will, he summons Athena's aegis, the magical shield bearing the fearsome visage of Medusa that someday will be hers, though now it appears as a phantom image. In an instant, a gleaming shield materializes in the air just behind Athena's shoulder. It is not fully solid, more like an illusion, but its effect is immediate and devastating. On its polished surface is a grotesque visage, eyes bulging, fanged mouth open in a silent snarl, the head of a gorgon. This terrifying image later will be known as Medusa's face on Athena's shield, but right now it appears without explanation. Pallas's eyes dart to the apparition over Athena's shoulder and widen in startled fear. She falters, only for a second, but that second changes everything. Athena, unaware of the Aegis's appearance behind her, only sees Pallas hesitate, and her eyes grow afraid. Seizing the moment, Athena twists free from Pallas's grip and thrusts her wooden spear forward to end the bout. Pallas is too distracted by the monstrous face that flashed before her, she doesn't react in time. The blunt spear tip strikes Pallas hard, right above her heart. Time seems to slow. Pallas staggers back, the wooden point having hit with far more force than intended, as if an unseen power amplified Athena's blow. A look of shock crosses Pallas's face. She gasps, a wet, choking sound, and for a horrifying heartbeat, even Athena thinks she glimpses something dark stain Pallas's tunic at the sight of impact. Perhaps it's only water from the lake, but in that split second it looks almost like blood. The phantom Aegis vanishes with a faint thunderclap, as if Zeus himself is startled by what has happened. Athena stands frozen, arms still extended. Pallas's practice dagger slips from her fingers into the water with a little splash. She sways on her feet, eyes unfocused, and then begins to crumple. Pallas, Athena's own voice tears from her throat, raw and terrified. She tosses her spear aside, the contest utterly forgotten, and lunges forward to catch her friend. Together they sink to their knees in the shallow water. Pallas's head lolls against Athena's shoulder. Triton is already sprinting toward them from the shore, his face a mask of fear. And at the tree line, Zeus steps fully into view, horrified at the unintended consequence of his intervention. You rush closer as well, heart pounding. Pallas is lying limp in Athena's arms, the two now half kneeling, half sitting in the cold lake water. Athena's hands flutter over Pallas, trying to find the wound, to staunch the bleeding that her mind reels at possibly seeing. But when she lifts her trembling hand from Pallas's chest, there is no blood, only a bruise, forming like a purple thundercloud on pale skin. Yet Pallas's eyes are shut, and her breaths are shallow. The spear may not have pierced flesh, but the impact was severe. Too severe for a mortal, or even a young goddess, perhaps. Athena, Pallas whispers, barely audible. Athena cradles her closer, one hand supporting Pallas's head above the water, the other grasping her hand tightly. I'm here, Pallas. Hold on, Athena pleads, voice shaking. This is a tone you've never heard from her, high, frightened, utterly human. Tears spill down Athena's cheeks, warm and sudden, dripping into the lake. Each tear sends a ripple across the water. The sky overhead, so clear moments ago, rapidly draws gray with thick clouds. A low rumble of thunder rolls in the distance as if echoing Athena's despair. Triton splashes into the water on Pallas's other side, panic in his eyes. He tries to take his daughter from Athena's arms to inspect her, but Pallas's fingers clutch Athena's clothing weakly, not wanting to let go. Triton's voice cracks as he calls her name. Behind Athena, Zeus approaches slowly, remorse and dread on his face. He knows he played a part in this tragedy, and that Triton, if he knew, would never forgive him. For a moment, time stands still. Athena presses her forehead to Pallas's, choking back sobs. Please don't leave me, she whispers, voice breaking. You can feel the raw pain in her heart. This is her dearest friend, perhaps the only being she's ever allowed herself to love freely. How could fate be so cruel to threaten this bond? Pallas's eyes flutter, and she musters a faint smile. "It's all right," she breathes, though tears have slipped from the corners of her own eyes too. "I'm glad it was you." Athena shakes her head desperately, not understanding. Glad? How could Pallas possibly be glad in this moment of pain? Pallas continues, voice an airy whisper. "Better by your hand than any other. You'll be great, Athena. I always knew." A slight cough racks her, and her face tightens in pain. "No, no, no. Just stay. We'll get help," Athena begs. She looks up at Zeus and Triton, panic in her bright eyes. "Help her. Do something, please." Her authoritative composure is gone. She is a frightened girl begging her elders to fix what she has done. Triton is already channeling water magic, cupping the lake's water over Pallas's bruise to soothe it, trying desperately to heal his daughter. Zeus, guilt-heavy in his stance, kneels and places his hand above Pallas, attempting to lend his own godly energy. Golden light glows from Zeus's palm, and you see Pallas sigh softly as it flows through her, easing her pain. But even with divine intervention, something in Pallas is fading. Perhaps the shock was too great, her spirit too rattled. Perhaps it is simply her fate. Athena feels it. She feels the life of her friend slipping away like sand through fingers. She clutches Pallas tighter, her tears falling freely. Each drop that hits the water seems to call the rain from the skies, and suddenly the heavens open up. Rain pours down on the lake, on the trembling Athena, on Triton hunched over his daughter, on Zeus watching in helpless silence. The gentle summer day has turned to downpour, nature itself weeping with the grieving goddess. With rain soaking her hair and mixing with her tears, Athena presses her cheek against Pallas's. Pallas's eyes open one last time, clear and kind despite the shadow of death creeping in. "Don't cry, Pallas." Pallas tries to joke faintly, speaking her own name as a gentle tease. It was a little game between them, both named Pallas in a way, since they called Athena by that nickname sometimes. But Athena cannot even force a smile. A keening sound rises from her throat, quiet but full of despair. "Please, sister," she manages to say, her voice cracking, "stay with me." In calling Pallas sister, Athena's voice holds all the love she has. Pallas musters her remaining strength and says softly, "I'll always be with you, sister." Her eyes drift to Athena's, then upward as though looking at something beyond. Athena feels Pallas's hand squeeze hers, a last gentle reassurance, and then the fingers go slack. Pallas's body, moments ago vibrant and strong, falls limp in Athena's embrace. A wail of pure anguish echoes across the water. It takes you a moment to realize the sound came from Athena herself. She who is usually so composed now sobs openly, rocking Pallas's lifeless form. Triton roars in grief, the sound so loud and primal it shakes the reeds along the shore. Zeus closes his eyes, tears mingling with the rain on his cheeks. The weight of the tragedy settles on everyone present, like a cloak of lead. The rain continues unabated, heavy drops rippling the lake and plastering Athena's hair to her face. You stand in stunned sorrow at the scene. There are few pains deeper than losing someone you love unexpectedly. And Athena, the very goddess who tries to embody logic and wisdom, is left with the senseless, raw pain of this loss. In her mind, you feel a torrent of emotions: disbelief, guilt, immeasurable sadness, and a budding seed of bitterness. Why did this have to happen? Why Pallas? Why her dearest friend? Zeus gently places a hand on Athena's shoulder, attempting to console her, but Athena flinches away from him. Perhaps she subconsciously knows he caused the fearful image that led to this, or perhaps she simply cannot accept comfort right now. Instead, she cradles Pallas's head and weeps, her tears falling onto Pallas's still face. They glisten there like pearls before the rain washes them away. Time slips by. Eventually, Athena's sobs quiet to trembling breaths. Triton has moved to shore, carrying his daughter's body, and is preparing a bier from tree branches with shaking hands, his grief too vast for words. Zeus stands apart, respectfully silent, knowing his presence is not particularly welcome in this moment. Athena, however, has not left the water. She kneels where Pallas fell, the rain now easing to a soft drizzle around her as the storm passes its peak. She looks at her trembling hands, the hands that wielded the spear. A violent shudder runs through her. Carefully, she gathers Pallas's dropped dagger and spear and carries them to the shore. Each movement Athena makes now is deliberate, ceremonial, as if she's operating on some grim autopilot to cope. You follow silently, raindrops sliding down your arms and face like cold tears. On the shore, Triton has laid Pallas's body on the bier of branches and wildflowers. His face is streaked with tears, but he steps back to allow Athena to say her farewell. Zeus has retreated to a distance, head bowed. Athena stands over the body of her friend, and for a moment she sways, as though she might collapse from heartbreak. But she steadies herself. Biting her lip, Athena removes a small owl-shaped brooch from her own tunic, a token she often wore. She gently fastens it to Pallas's dress. Over the broken heart it will no longer protect. So you'll always be under my aegis, Athena whispers, voice hoarse. It's a final promise. Athena will protect Pallas's memory, even though she couldn't protect Pallas's life. Then Athena kneels and leans down to press a soft kiss to Pallas's cool forehead. With that, the farewell is complete. Triton steps forward, grief carved into his features, and with a nod from Athena, he raises his arms. The lake's waters respond to his will, rising up to embrace the bier. A shining white mist swirls around Pallas's body, obscuring it gently. When the mist clears, the bier and the maiden upon it are gone, given to the depths, or perhaps taken to some sacred resting place of sea nymphs. Only Pallas's spear and dagger remain on the shore, along with her leather training sandals and a single lily that had been in her hair. Athena picks up the sandals and lily with trembling hands. How does one immortalize a beloved friend lost so young? The question flits through your mind as you watch Athena's stricken face. Zeus approaches gingerly, his voice soft. "Athena, my child, Athena turns to him with a look that silences the thunder god himself. In her eyes is a storm he cannot weather, grief, and perhaps a hint of blame. Zeus's words die on his tongue. Instead, he simply opens his arms. For a heartbeat, it seems Athena will reject even her father's embrace. But then with a broken sob, she steps forward and allows him to hold her. She is trembling against Zeus's broad form, and he strokes her wet hair as the drizzle around them lightens further. Athena's face is pressed into Zeus's chest, and though you cannot hear her well, you see her lips move against his tunic. She's gone. Oh, she's gone. Zeus's face is lined with sorrow as he holds his grieving daughter. Triton stands at the water's edge, staring out over the lake with empty eyes, the loss of his own child locking him in silent misery. After some time, Athena pulls away from Zeus, composing herself with visible effort. The rain has stopped, and the evening sun breaks through the clouds in bands of gold and purple, casting a bittersweet light over the drenched meadow. Athena wipes her tears, though her eyes remain red and filled with pain. She takes a deep breath and walks back toward the water. There, stuck upright in the mud, is Pallas's fallen spear. Athena wraps her fingers around its shaft and lifts it gently from the earth. With solemn steps, Athena carries the spear to a nearby olive sapling growing at the lake's edge. You watch as she uses the spear's point to carve something into the trunk of the young tree. At first, you think it's some arcane symbol or spell, but then you realize she is carving letters in the old Greek script of the gods. When she steps back, you see the name she has etched into the bark, Pallas. Athena kneels before the tree, pressing her forehead to the carved name, and whispers, "I vow your name will live in me. I will carry you always." The olive leaves above rustle softly, as if in answer. Zeus and Triton exchange glances. They both know this grief and these words are sacred. Neither dares to interrupt. In a swirl of divine light, Athena's armor appears on her body once more, piece by piece, summoned by her will. She rises from the ground, spear in hand. Tenderly, she plucks one small branch from the olive tree, a cutting she means to keep. Then she moves to where Pallas's sandals lie and picks them up too, holding these mementos close to her heart. With a last long look at the tranquil lake, now so heartbreakingly quiet, without Pallas's laughter, Athena turns to leave. She nods to Triton, an unspoken apology and gratitude mingled in the gesture. Triton gives a slow nod in return, tears slipping from his eyes anew as he looks at the spear Athena holds, his daughter's spear that Athena will now take. Zeus gently places a hand on Athena's shoulder, and the three of them, father, daughter, and the grieving foster father, depart from that lakeshore as the sun sets. In your ears, the memory of Athena's cry of anguish still rings. In your chest, you feel the echo of her heartbreak. As the scene around you begins to blur, shifting to the next memory, one thing is painfully clear. Athena's first experience of love and friendship ended in tragedy. Back in the quiet corridors of Athena's mind, you sense how this loss calcified inside her. The soft part of her that giggled and held hands on a summer day by the lake, that part is now locked away, sealed behind a door of grief. Athena will henceforth be Pallas Athena, bearing her friend's name as both honor and burden. And in taking that name, she steels herself against ever feeling this kind of pain again. But at what cost does she shut away her own tenderness? Years later, in the halls of Olympus, Athena would carve a wooden statue in Pallas's image, draping it with the very aegis that caused her friend's fall. This palladium stood beside Zeus's throne as an everlasting memorial, and a piece of it would one day watch over the city of Troy, carrying Athena's silent sorrow far into the world. Again, the world shifts, the sorrowful lakeside dissolves, its image rippling away as if reflected in disturbed water. You sense Athena's heart, hardened and quiet after Pallas's loss, steering you onward. Through the mists of memory you travel, further into Athena's life. The scent of sea brine and dust fills your nostrils. The distant cry of seagulls echoes, and you feel sunlight, hot and Mediterranean, on your face. When the haze clears, you find yourself atop a rocky hill under a brilliant blue sky. White stone buildings and half-built temples surround you, signs of an ancient city in its youth. Workers have paused in their labors, and citizens gather in a wide circle on this high ground. This must be the Acropolis of a city-state, and by the looks of it, not yet the grand Athens of later legend, but a burgeoning settlement seeking divine patronage. The people's faces are upturned in anticipation and anxiety. They have come to witness a contest of gods. At the center of the assembly stands King Cecrops, a wise ruler with the unusual form of a man from the waist up and a serpent below, a founder king of Athens, born of the earth. His scaled tail coils around a rock as he balances upright, watching two figures before him with reverence. To his right towers Poseidon, god of the sea, trident in hand. The sea breeze touzles his dark beard and hair, which seem to be threaded with seaweed and foam. His eyes are the shifting green of ocean depths, and they gleam with confidence and competitive fire. To the king's left stands Athena, clad in gleaming armor, shield at her back and spear in hand. Her helmet is crowned with a crest of white horsehair that catches the sunlight. Though shorter than the sea god, Athena stands just as proudly, chin lifted. Her face is calm, but her eyes are intense. This contest matters deeply to her. You step nearer into the inner ring of spectators. No one notices you. You are an invisible witness within the memory. A hush blankets the gathering. Even the wind seems to hold its breath. Poseidon's voice breaks the silence, deep and resonant as a wave crashing onto shore. Mortals of this land, he proclaims, I, Poseidon, offer you a gift. Accept it and make me your patron, and you shall know the favor of the oceans and the strength of the tides. He raises his great trident high overhead. For a moment, his presence is terrifying in its majesty. You see a few spectators flinch backward, and a baby begins crying, quickly hushed by its mother. Athena watches Poseidon carefully, knuckles white around her spear, but her expression reveals nothing. With a mighty thrust, Poseidon strikes his trident down into the rock of the Acropolis. The ground shudders, as if an earthquake had thumped beneath your feet. Will the earth split open at his command? For a heartbeat, tension thrums through the crowd. Then with a crack, a fissure opens in the stone where the trident struck. From the crack, water gushes forth in an impressive spout that gleams in the sun. The people gasp. The king's serpent tail twitches in surprise. Poseidon steps aside, allowing all to see the spring he's created, a fountain of water in this arid land. Some of the braver townsfolk inch closer, and one man kneels to dip his hand in the miraculous pool forming at the fissure's edge. But almost immediately, the man recoils, sputtering. Others murmur in confusion. The man spits the water from his mouth and cries, "It's salt water." Indeed, as you catch a spray of the fountain on your lips, you taste the sharp tang of sea salt. This is no fresh water spring to drink from. It's as salty as the Aegean Sea itself. A few concerned whispers ripple through the crowd. They admire the power needed to call seawater from stone, but what use is it to them? They cannot irrigate fields, nor quench thirst with salt water. Poseidon's jaw tightens just a fraction at the murmurs. Perhaps he thought a display of his domain's power would suffice to awe them. Still, a gift is a gift, and a few pragmatic souls nod politely, saying at least the water could be used for bathing or the salt harvested. The sea god crosses his arms, awaiting the next part of the contest. King Cecrops clears his throat and turns now to Athena. "And you, bright Athena," he says, respectfully, his voice carrying over the assembly. "What do you offer this city in return for its devotion?" Athena steps forward, spear in hand. She surveys the faces of the people, men, women, children, whose futures depend on this choice. She can feel their hopes and fears, and so can you, standing in her sandals. In that moment, you almost merge with Athena's perspective. The weight of responsibility to provide something truly beneficial presses on her. This isn't about showing off divine might. It's about caring for these mortals and their descendants for ages to come. Athena turns her spear and gently touches its tip to the ground. Then she kneels, removing her helmet and setting it aside, a gesture that immediately makes the people lean in, as if she's becoming one of them, humble and present. With her freed hands, Athena reaches down to the dirt where a patch of dry earth lies cracked by the sun. She closes her eyes. The crowd holds its collective breath. From beneath her fingertips, you see a glow of greenish light. She murmurs an incantation under her breath, not a shout like Poseidon's display, but a soft-spoken wish, almost a prayer on behalf of the people. At first, nothing seems to happen. Then the earth trembles again, but this time it's softer, like the purring of soil. A tiny shoot of green breaks the surface between Athena's hands. It grows swiftly, right before your eyes, rising taller than a blade of grass, thickening, sprouting leaves. In mere moments, it becomes the slender trunk of a young tree. The crowd gasps as they see it take shape. Branches unfurl, spreading a canopy of silvery green leaves that rustle softly in the breeze. From those branches hang clusters of small greenish fruits. It's an olive tree, fully formed in the space of a single breath. Athena stands, placing a hand gently on the tree's trunk. "Behold my gift," she speaks, her voice clear and melodious, yet strong enough that all can hear. "The olive tree. It will give you and your children's children fruit to eat and oil to fuel your lamps and soften your wounds. Its wood will build your homes and carve your tools. It shall be a symbol of peace and prosperity in this land." A sunbeam filters through the olive tree's leaves, making them shimmer. An odd murmur spreads through the people. They press forward to see, to touch. The man who tasted Poseidon's spring now reaches up and reverently picks one olive. He bites into it, despite it being raw and bitter, and tears fill his eyes as he nods vigorously. "Food from the earth," he exclaims. A woman runs her fingers over the silvery leaves, whispering about shade and beauty. A child giggles as an olive plops into her small hand, and she imagines all the things they could make with the oil. King Cecrops, too, is visibly impressed. He bows his head to Athena. Poseidon's face darkens like a brewing storm as he senses the shift in the crowd's favor. His pride is pricked. The sea god's gift was magnificent, but it is Athena's humble olive tree that clearly resonates with the needs of the people. Cecrops raises his staff and calls for quiet. "People of this land, you have seen the offerings. It is time to choose our patron deity." Though formal, it's obvious which way the wind is blowing. Still, to be fair, Cecrops first asks, "Who favors the gift of Lord Poseidon, Earthshaker and God of the Sea?" A few hands raise, some warriors who respect Poseidon's might, and perhaps fishermen hoping for bountiful seas. But they are in the minority. And who favors the gift of Lady Athena, goddess of wisdom and war, daughter of Zeus? Cecrops continues. This time, a great cheer rises, and nearly every hand in the crowd lifts. Voices cry out, "Athena! We choose Athena!" The choice is indisputable. Athena's cheeks flush with grateful pride. She inclines her head graciously to the people and to Cecrops. Poseidon's eyes flash with anger at the public rejection, but for the moment he holds his tongue. "Then it is decided," Cecrops declares. This city shall henceforth be known as Athens, in honor of our patron, the goddess Athena. A roar of approval meets his words. Musicians start up a cheerful tune on pipes and drums. Some people dance right there on the rock, celebrating the promise of prosperity under Athena's care. Athena steps back, exhaling a breath she'd been holding. Relief and joy well in her heart. You feel it too, a sense of fulfillment that her gift was not only accepted, but beloved. She has won not through intimidation, but through understanding and generosity. Her eyes shine as she meets Poseidon's gaze. She offers him a polite bow, an olive branch in one hand as a gesture of peace. Brother Poseidon, she says, respectfully, for though he is her uncle, she addresses him as an equal among the Olympians. We thank you for your participation. The people have chosen. May there be peace between us, and may you continue to bless these shores with fair seas. Her words are measured and diplomatic, and she truly wishes to avoid his wrath. But Poseidon's pride has taken a blow. He accepts the olive branch Athena offers, but as his fingers close around it, the leaves wither and blacken in his grasp. He tosses it aside. Peace is it? He rumbles, voice dangerous and low. Only Athena hears him clearly over the din of celebration. They may have chosen you, girl, but do not think I will forget this insult. Athena's stomach tightens. This is precisely what she hoped to avoid. It was their choice, uncle, she says softly, trying to placate him with familial respect. I only gave what I could to help them. Poseidon's lip curls. Thunderheads are already gathering in the once clear sky above. The celebrants notice the sudden shadow, and some falter in their dancing. Enjoy your reign here, Poseidon says, his sea-green eyes boring into Athena's. But know that the sea is infinite and patient. One day, Athena, you will regret crossing me. With that, Poseidon turns away. He strides a few paces and then vanishes in a sudden column of salt water that gushes up from his spring and then crashes to the ground. In his wake, the fresh olive tree sways in a gust of sudden wind. The people look around in confusion and a bit of fear as the clouds overhead darken further. Rain begins to fall, not a gentle blessing like before, but a cold, stinging rain that pricks skin and quickly puddles in the low spots of rock. A crack of thunder makes a child scream. Athena looks up at the forming storm with concern. Poseidon is venting his anger, and the fledgling city might suffer for it. We must take shelter, Cecrops calls, urging his people to head down the hill before the storm worsens. Peals of thunder answer in quick succession, and now Athena can smell ozone and the brine of the sea on the wind. Poseidon has surely retreated to the depths, but his fury remains. Athena stands by her olive tree as the Athenians scatter to their homes, clutching children and belongings. The sky churns an eerie greenish black. Far on the horizon beyond the city, Athena sees white-capped waves rise monstrously tall. A chill runs through her. Poseidon is summoning a great flood. With urgency, Athena marches to Cecrops. Get everyone to higher ground within the fortress walls, she instructs the king. A flood is coming. Prepare them quickly. Cecrops bows and obeys, slithering his serpentine lower half rapidly down the slope, shouting orders to his people. Athena remains atop the Acropolis for a moment longer. The olive tree stands resilient against the gale, leaves whipping. Athena places a protective hand on its trunk, whispering a quiet prayer to the spirit of the tree to hold fast. Then she gathers her shield and helmet, readying herself. How can she defend a whole city against the wrath of the sea? Her mind races. She is powerful, yes, but to quell a flood of Poseidon's making. Perhaps if she had time to put up barriers or command the earth to rise. But there is no time. The sea is already surging. Moments later, you are in the midst of chaos. From your vantage, you see the shoreline in the distance as a wall of water crashes onto the beaches and beyond. The sea invades the land, foaming and ravenous. Fishermen's shacks near the shore are swept away as easily as leaves. Panicked animals bray and run for higher ground. The plain beyond the city turns into a temporary sea as Poseidon's flood rushes inland toward Athens. Athena descends the hill, striding through the rain, shouting for people to hurry to the Acropolis's high elevation. Some have taken refuge in the partially built temple columns, clinging to stone as wind howls. Athena raises her spear to the sky. Lightning, courtesy of Zeus, perhaps a sign of his attention, crackles above. Athena calls out in a commanding voice that rings through the storm. Hold, waters, by my will, thus far and no further. She thrusts her spear into the ground at the foot of the hill, and you feel a ripple of power extend outward, invisible but strong, forming a sort of barrier. When the flood reaches that line, it slows, as if hitting an invisible wall. Waves still crash and spray, but the core of Poseidon's assault seems to halt, at least temporarily, at Athena's boundary. The city itself, perched on its hills, avoids the worst of the deluge, though the lower lands around are submerged. Poseidon's storm rages all night, but his waters go no further than Athena allows. At dawn, the rain stops. The sea reluctantly drains back, leaving behind a soggy devastation on the outskirts of the city. Fields are ruined, homes near the shore destroyed, but Athens itself still stands. Exhausted from maintaining her power through the night, Athena stands by her olive tree on the Acropolis once more, surveying the aftermath. Debris litters the plains below, bits of wood, drowned livestock, uprooted shrubs. Survivors trickle out of their refuges, wailing at the destruction of their farmlands. Athena's heart clenches at the sight. Victory had not been supposed to cost so much. King Cecrops approaches Athena, mud splattered across his torso, but alive. He kneels, half in gratitude, half in sorrow. We owe you our lives, great goddess. Your power held back Poseidon's worst fury. The city is saved, even if the land is hurt. Athena nods solemnly and helps Cecrops to his feet. Around them, the people of Athens begin to gather, looking to their new patroness for reassurance. Athena stands taller, mustering her composure despite the weariness and the guilt weighing on her. "Hear me, people of Athens," she calls out. "Your devotion will not be in vain. I vow to help you rebuild what was lost. Together we will plant new fields, stronger and wiser than before. The olive tree shall be our guide. Its roots go deep, and it will thrive even in harsh times." As if to confirm her words, sunlight breaks through the clouds and shines directly on the little olive tree, which indeed still stands, leaves glinting silver and green. A hopeful murmur swells in the crowd at that sight. Athena steps down among them, and those who were frightened now reach out to touch the hem of her garment or kiss her hand. She moves among the people, offering words of encouragement, her presence radiating calm. Inside, however, Athena bears a new burden. Because of her, Poseidon's wrath had fallen on these innocent people. Her victory made them a target. She knows gods can be jealous and vengeful, yet seeing the tangible suffering in front of her cuts deeply. She can't help but ask herself if there might have been another way, a less antagonistic solution. Did she condemn them to Poseidon's enmity by striving for this patronage? Zeus's eagle screeches from a high perch, observing the scene, and Athena glances at it, a reminder that her father is watching. Zeus would likely say conflict among gods is inevitable, and that she did what she must. But Athena's own conscience is not so easily soothed. Among the crowd, she helps lift a fallen wooden beam off an injured young man. As she does so, the man gazes up at her in adoration despite his pain, thanking her for saving them. Athena manages a soft smile, but inside her thoughts churn. What silent price will these mortals pay for my glory? Over the next days, Athena stays in Athens, guiding the people in recovery. With her wisdom, they devise irrigation ditches to drain the floodwaters, strategies to purify some of Poseidon's salt water into fresh water, and improvements to building foundations to withstand quakes and floods better. Each night, she watches the coastline from the Acropolis, alert for any sign of Poseidon's return. But the sea remains sullen and distant, licking its wounds perhaps. Poseidon has retreated, but she knows he has not forgiven or forgotten. In the aftermath of that day, the evidence of Poseidon's challenge remained upon the rock of the Acropolis. The cleft where his trident struck still seeped with briny water, forming a small salt spring that would never dry up, a lasting reminder of the sea god's fury. Beside it grew Athena's olive tree, its roots drinking from the earth to give nourishing fruit. For generations to come, Athenians would point to those twin marks, the well of Poseidon and the olive of Athena, and remember the choice made and the cost it carried. The memory begins to blur at the edges, villagers and ruins fading like chalk washed away by water. You remain aware of Athena's lingering feelings, pride in her city, but also a keener sense of the risks that come with victory. She has won Athens at the cost of earning Poseidon's enmity, and an uneasy question lingers in her mind and in yours. When gods clash, who truly pays the price? The memory of Poseidon's vengeance gives way to a heavy stillness. You sense time flowing onward once again. Athena's beloved city has flourished under her guidance, and years or perhaps decades have passed. But Poseidon's bitter grudge lingers like a storm below a calm sea, and its ripples are about to surface in a way neither Athena nor anyone could foresee. The scene solidifies around you inside a grand temple of white marble. Tall columns line a hall lit by flickering torches. The marble floor is polished to a sheen, reflecting those torches in long golden smears of light. Intricate friezes of Athena's victories adorn the upper walls, but in the wavering dark they seem almost to move like phantoms. It's night, and the temple is empty save for one young woman kneeling before a towering statue of Athena. The air smells of cold stone and lamp oil, and outside you hear the muffled rumble of distant thunder as a rainstorm drifts over the city. The temple is Athena's own sanctuary, a sacred space of calm wisdom. But tonight, a tension hums in the shadows. You step closer, footsteps silent on the polished marble floor. The kneeling woman has long hair the color of deepest ebony and skin with a warm golden hue. She wears robes of white and gold, the garb of a priestess. By the offering bowls at the altar, you gather that she's been here performing midnight devotions. She looks up at the statue's serene face, her own eyes shining with devotion. This is Medusa, a maiden who serves Athena faithfully. You recall whispers that Medusa is famed for her beauty. Indeed, even in the dim torchlight, her features are striking, sculpted like a work of art. But there is pure reverence in her expression as she utters a soft prayer to Athena, thanking the goddess for some blessing earlier that day and asking for continued guidance. In her earnest voice, you hear nothing but respect and love for Athena. Medusa finishes her prayer and bows her head. For a moment, all is quiet except for the patter of rain on the temple's roof and the occasional echo of thunder. You feel a gentle reassurance emanating from the statue itself, as if Athena, far away, acknowledges her priestess's devotion. Medusa smiles faintly, comforted, but the peace shatters abruptly. A powerful gust of wind slams into the temple's open doorway, dousing several torches and plunging one side of the hall into darkness. Medusa startles and rises to her feet, heart pounding at the sudden intrusion. The doors, which she had left ajar for the night breeze, now burst fully open as another forceful gust sweeps in, carrying with it the salty tang of the sea. The storm outside must be intensifying. Medusa takes a step back from the altar, clutching her cloak around her. Thunder booms closer now. In the intermittent flicker of the remaining torchlight, a tall figure appears in the doorway, framed in lightning for an instant, then stepping into shadow. Medusa's eyes widen as the figure emerges into the temple hall. It is a man, but far more than a man. Poseidon, lord of the sea, his presence unmistakable. Water drips from his beard and shoulders, puddling at his feet. His sea-green eyes gleam as he surveys the temple interior. He looks utterly out of place here, a wild force of nature in Athena's orderly sanctuary. Medusa instinctively knows this visitor is a god, and she bows quickly, trembling. "Lord Poseidon," she says in a shaky voice, taken aback by such a god's appearance at this hour. "Well, what do you seek here, in Athena's temple?" Poseidon steps forward with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. His voice rolls out smoothly, almost pleasant, but there's an undertow of something dangerous in it. "I was merely seeking shelter from the storm," he says, though as a god it's clear he has no need to hide from weather. He glances up at Athena's statue, and a corner of his mouth twitches in a smirk. A bit ironic, isn't it, that I find refuge in my dear niece's hall? There's bitterness under that feigned friendliness. Poseidon's gaze then slides to Medusa, and it lingers. He takes in her beauty, the way the torchlight plays on her face. Medusa shifts uneasily under the intensity of his stare. She is alone with him. The other priests have long retired. Outside, the wind howls and the rain intensifies, as if sealing them in a cocoon of storm. Poseidon steps closer, slow, deliberate steps echoing. Medusa retreats a half step for each of his, her heart beginning to hammer. "Your refuge is welcome here, Lord Poseidon," she stammers politely, "but perhaps I should fetch." Before she can finish, Poseidon raises a hand, not aggressively, but with a commanding grace that stops her short. "No need to fetch anyone, child," he purrs. "It's just us. What is your name, my dear?" "Medusa," she answers quietly, voice barely above the rain's whisper. Her eyes dart toward the doorway, gauging if she could slip past him, but he subtly moves to block that path, seemingly without trying. "Medusa," he repeats thoughtfully, "I have heard whispers of you. They say Athena favors you, that you are her most lovely priestess." He reaches out and, to Medusa's shock, brushes a strand of her hair aside from her face. His touch is gentle but presumptive. Medusa flinches and steps back, now truly alarmed. This is sacred ground, and he is a god. She is unsure how to handle either aspect of this situation, but everything feels wrong. "Lord Poseidon," Medusa says, mustering courage, "this is Athena's holy temple. Please, you must not." He interrupts with a low chuckle. "Must not what? Touch you?" He takes another step forward. Medusa backs into one of the columns, her escape cut off. Poseidon's broad frame looms before her. Up close, she can smell the sea on him, like brine and kelp, mixed with the ozone of the storm. His eyes roam over her face and form with open admiration that makes her skin crawl. Suddenly, in a swift motion, Poseidon places a hand under Medusa's chin, tilting her face up toward his. She gasps softly, fear paralyzing her. Her mind races. Where is Athena? Does the goddess see this? The statue's eyes remain cold and stone-bound, offering no immediate sign. "You are indeed beautiful," Poseidon murmurs. Lightning flashes, illuminating the predatory hunger in his face. A shame that you've devoted yourself to a virginal goddess. Perhaps you'd relish a different sort of worship. Medusa's heart lurches. She puts her hands against Poseidon's chest and tries to push him away, panic rising. "No, please," she protests, voice high. Her plea is cut off as Poseidon, impatience flaring, presses forward and captures her mouth in a forceful kiss. Medusa's cry of protest is muffled against his lips. She struggles, twisting her face away, but Poseidon's strength is overwhelming, like fighting against a rip current. He pins her against the pillar. Her wreath of white temple flowers tumbles from her hair to the floor. "Stop," Medusa manages to gasp between ragged breaths, tears springing to her eyes. Her desperation grows as Poseidon's hands roam where they have no permission. The thunder outside seems to roar in sympathy with her distress. She pushes at him with all her might, even slapping his face in panic, but he barely seems to notice. In fact, her resistance only appears to inflame his desire. As you witness this, your stomach twists in knots. You want to intervene, to shout, but you are just an invisible observer in this memory, helpless to stop what's unfolding. The cruelty of it chills you. Here is an innocent young woman, trapped and terrified, in the very temple where she sought safety and purpose. And here is Poseidon, carrying out his revenge not directly on Athena, but on one of her devotees, defiling Athena's sacred space out of spite and lust. Is Athena aware of this violation happening under her own roof? The question echoes in the air, unanswered, as Medusa's whimpers mix with the pounding rain. At last, in a burst of adrenaline, Medusa twists her body and slips from Poseidon's grip for just a second. She stumbles toward the statue of Athena, hair disheveled, tears streaming. Clutching the pedestal of the goddess's likeness, she cries out, "Athena, help me, please." Her voice echoes desperately in the cavernous temple. Poseidon's eyes flash angrily at that. In 2 strides, he grabs Medusa by the shoulders and yanks her away from the statue, throwing her to the marble floor. She cries out as her knees scrape stone. Poseidon stands over her, breathing hard, like a dark storm cloud given human shape. "She cannot help you," he snarls. "No one will disturb us." He descends upon Medusa then, and the torches flicker wildly as if in protest. You turn your gaze partially away, heart pounding and throat tight with helpless sorrow. All you catch are fragmented impressions, Medusa's sobbing pleas, Poseidon's form blocking her from view, the scrape of her sandals against the floor as she struggles. The storm outside rages in full fury, almost drowning out her broken cries. It's a horror draped in the guise of a nightmare, happening with brutal swiftness right at Athena's altar. Somewhere in the world beyond, you imagine Athena's attention snapping toward her temple, perhaps alerted by the defilement of her sacred space or the prayers of her priestess. Whether by Athena's will or mere chance, a bolt of lightning strikes just outside the temple threshold, its flash illuminating the heinous act for a split second like a strobe of frozen time. Poseidon hunched over the prone Medusa, his hand entangled in her hair, her face contorted in misery. The thunder that follows is a deafening crack, as if the sky itself is voicing outrage. Then, as suddenly as it began, it ends. Poseidon stands, breathing heavily. Medusa lies curled on the floor, dress torn, her sobs now quiet, almost lost in the patter of rain leaking through the doorway. She trembles, drawing into herself, shattered and frightened beyond words. Poseidon takes one last look at her, perhaps a flicker of guilt or realization crossing his face now that his lust is sated and the gravity of what he's done in Athena's temple dawns on him. But if he feels remorse, he does not voice it. Instead, with a swirl of brine-scented wind, he vanishes, likely retreating to the sea before Athena's arrival. For a heartbeat, all is silent. Only the rain dripping through the eaves and Medusa's ragged breathing disturb the hush. You step towards Medusa as she drags herself to her knees, clutching at the base of Athena's statue. "Goddess," she whispers brokenly, pressing her cheek to the cool stone foot of the statue. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." She seems to think Athena might blame her for what happened, as victims often unjustly blame themselves. Tear after tear falls onto the marble, mixing with the rainwater on the floor. It is in this pitiable state that Athena finally appears. A bright spear of light crackles in the center of the temple, and from it Athena steps forth, her gray eyes blazing and her armor humming with energy. She has heard Medusa's cries too late. What she sees is her sanctuary sullied, the torches blown out, the scent of salt and sweat heavy in the air, and Medusa, one of her virgin priestesses, collapsed and disheveled at her statue's feet, bruises already blooming on her arms. A wave of fury radiates from Athena so powerfully that you almost step back. The very temple walls seem to tremble. Here is Athena as the wrathful war goddess, and her anger is incandescent. Medusa lifts her head at the burst of light, hope igniting in her eyes upon seeing her goddess present. "Athena," she cries out, dragging herself toward Athena, arms outstretched as if reaching for salvation. "Please, help me." She is sobbing, her face streaked with tears, her hair falling loose around her. Athena's face, normally a mask of calm, is contorted with rage. But it is not directed clearly. She is enraged at Poseidon's trespass, at the violation of her sacred temple. Yet Poseidon is gone, vanished beyond her retribution for now. And here is Medusa, a living reminder of what has transpired. Athena's chest heaves as she struggles to contain the storm inside her. To see her devotee treated so, in her own holy space, it is an insult of the highest order to Athena's pride and sense of justice. And though one corner of Athena's mind feels compassion and heartbreak for Medusa, another part, colder and more dominant at this moment, demands retribution for the sacrilege. Someone must pay. Poseidon is beyond her reach, which leaves only Medusa. Medusa senses the shift. She expected Athena's embrace, Athena's comfort against the nightmare. But what she sees in the goddess's eyes is not gentle pity, it is searing outrage. Medusa's hands falter, hovering in the air uncertainly. "Goddess?" she whimpers. "You." Athena's voice is icy and resonates off the columns. She steps forward, not to console, but to confront. Her armor gleams with an almost blinding light, and Medusa blinks, confusion and fear intermingling anew. "You violated my temple," Athena says, and Medusa's heart breaks at the accusation in that tone. Medusa shakes her head frantically, crawling backward. "No, I was forced. I would never. Goddess, please, I was loyal." She chokes on her words, realizing Athena is beyond hearing her pleas at this moment. Athena's wrath must find a target, and Poseidon is not here to receive it. Athena raises her arm, and in her hand, a glow begins to gather, coalescing into the image of her Aegis shield. The visage of a Gorgon, the same fearsome face that spooked Pallas years ago, forms upon it, mouth open in a silent scream, snakes writhing around it. Athena's voice thunders, "No man, no god, may defile what is mine and go unpunished." Medusa cowers, covering her ears at the sheer power in that voice. She wants to cry out that she's innocent, that she's the victim, but terror keeps her tongue tied. You watch in dismay and sorrow, understanding Athena's fury, but aching for Medusa, who has already suffered so much. Athena's eyes flicker, and for a fraction of a second, you see something else in them, a glint of pain perhaps. Could it be that seeing Medusa like this reminds Athena of her own vulnerabilities, her inability to prevent this atrocity? Perhaps in Medusa's tear-streaked face, Athena sees the reflection of all the weakness and violation she abhors and denies in herself. And that only fuels her anger further, because it's easier to lash out than to face that pain. "Please," Medusa manages once more, her voice a broken whisper. It is the last word she speaks as a human. Athena brings down her outstretched hand as if casting a net. A sudden gale erupts within the temple, swirling around Medusa. The remaining torches extinguish, plunging everything into darkness, save for the eerie glow of Athena's power. Medusa's scream rises, high and despairing, echoing off the marble, and then that scream warps into something else, a gurgling hiss. You strain to see through the magical wind that whips around the kneeling girl. Medusa's slender form begins to contort. She throws her head back in agony as her once beautiful hair lifts, writhing as though alive. Strands thicken and fuse, elongating into serpents that coil and snap. One by one, venomous snakes bloom from her head, their eyes glinting, tongues tasting the air. Medusa grasps at them in horror, but her fingers are stiffening, her skin hardening to an ashen gray. Her legs fuse together, or perhaps it's only an illusion. No. Below her skirt, you see scales ripping through flesh, a serpentine tail lashing where her legs were moments ago. She doubles over, Not in pain now, but as if a wave of cold has overtaken her. She lifts her face toward you beseechingly. Half her face is still that of the woman you saw praying just minutes ago, eyes pleading. The other half is shifting into something monstrous, her teeth sharpening into fangs, her gaze growing fixed and deadly. Athena's curse is swift and merciless. In heartbeats, Medusa is transformed fully. Where a lovely maiden once knelt, now rises a creature of nightmare, a woman with living snakes for hair and a gaze that can turn any living thing to stone. The newly created Gorgon staggers to her feet, confusion and anguish contorting her fearsome features. She looks down at her own hands, now clawed and covered in fine scales, and a wail of despair hisses out from between her fangs. Athena stands rigid, breathing hard from the exertion and intensity. The wind dies down. Rainwater drips through the broken door, each drop sounding unnaturally loud in the silence that follows. The monstrous Medusa locks eyes with Athena, a terrible mistake. In those eyes that once worshipped the goddess, now there is only hurt and fury reflecting back. Athena meets that gaze head on, unflinching, for she alone among mortals and immortals can withstand the Gorgon's petrifying stare, the power being one she bestowed. They regard each other for a long, taut moment, the goddess and her victim, the creator and her monstrous mirror. You see Medusa's face twitch, as if she is about to sob or scream again, but then it hardens, fury overtaking grief. With an ear-splitting shriek that rattles the temple's remaining windows, Medusa turns and bounds away, slithering steps carrying her with inhuman speed out the doors into the stormy night. One last stray bolt of lightning illuminates her fleeing silhouette, a tangle of snakes and a lashing tail disappearing into darkness. She is gone, exiled to the ends of the earth to hide in caves, far from human sight. Only her despairing cry lingers in the temple, echoing for a moment before all falls deathly quiet. Athena is left standing alone in her desecrated temple. The silence is immense. No more thunder. The rain has slowed to a soft patter, like tears. The goddess closes her eyes, her shoulders sagging slightly as the adrenaline of rage drains away. In the damp, dark hall, the enormity of what has happened settles like a cold weight. There is no priestess left weeping for comfort, only scattered offerings on the floor and the faint smell of snakeskin in the air. Athena walks slowly to the foot of her statue, where a few golden apples from an offering bowl have rolled, and a strip of Medusa's torn white robe lies snagged on the pedestal. Athena bends and picks up the piece of fabric. Rain drips from her helmet onto it. For a moment, her composure cracks. Her hand holding the cloth trembles. She presses it against her breastplate as if it were something precious. Is she remembering the devoted girl who had prayed to her here, the loyal Medusa she just punished so harshly? A single tear escapes Athena's eye, tracing down her cheek. In the darkness of the temple, the goddess of wisdom feels the sting of regret, but it is only a single tear. She quickly wipes it away, letting the fabric fall from her fingers, and steels herself once more. Approaching the altar, Athena notices the great bronze shield that hangs on the wall as decoration. In its reflective surface, she catches sight of her own face, pale, drawn, eyes haunted. But as she gazes, her features seem to blur, and for an instant, she imagines she sees Medusa's face overlapping hers, mouth open in an agonized scream. Athena blinks and steps back, shaken by the illusion. Her jaw sets. With deliberate steps, she reaches for that bronze shield and unhooks it from the wall. The metal surface still gleams in the gloom. Athena runs a hand over it thoughtfully. Time shifts slightly. You see flashes of what comes afterward. Athena guiding the hero Perseus on a quest years later to slay the Gorgon Medusa in her lair. Perhaps it is an act of mercy to end Medusa's cursed existence. Perhaps it is cold pragmatism to use Medusa's head as a weapon. Perhaps in truth, it is both. You catch glimpses. Perseus, with Athena's mirrored shield in hand, creeping toward a sleeping snake-haired figure. A quick, merciful slice, a head wreathed in snaky locks placed in a sack. Medusa's suffering ends at last in that dark, lonely cave by Athena's orchestration, though no comfort came during her life of exile. And then you see Athena affixing the severed head of Medusa onto the center of her own Aegis shield. When the hideous visage is mounted there, it still retains its petrifying glare, now a tool of Athena's righteous wrath against her enemies. But it is also more than that. It is a reminder. Every time Athena goes into battle, the face of Medusa is there, staring outwards on her behalf. Perhaps Athena tells herself it's only to frighten foes, but deep in her immortal soul, she knows it also represents the pain and rage she dares not show. The Gorgon's face is the embodiment of Athena's buried grief and fury, an externalization of the part of her that could not be soft, that could not afford to be gentle in a ruthless world of gods and heroes. It is her emotional mirror, forever in front of her. In the shadows of the temple, Athena fastens the shield to her arm, the snake-haired visage glinting. It's a grim burden to carry, but Athena accepts it with stoic resolve. Who would ever guess, looking at the fearsome Gorgon on Athena's shield, that it symbolizes a tragedy the goddess cannot forget? The next time someone meets Athena's gaze, they will see only the reflective calm of her gray eyes. They will not see the ghosts that linger behind them. Only you have walked these corridors of her mind to witness it. The memory of Medusa's fate fades into darkness, leaving you and Athena in a void of quiet contemplation. You sense Athena's spirit beside you, pensive and heavy. In her pursuit of justice and control, what part of herself has Athena sacrificed? The question floats softly, and you already suspect part of the answer. The part that can empathize deeply, the part that can openly weep. She has locked that away once again, behind a shield and a statue's stone gaze. The darkness of Medusa's memory recedes, and you now drift gently through Athena's mind, leaving behind the storms of rage and sorrow. The pace of time in her thoughts slows, the turmoil easing into a quieter, reflective calm. You sense that many years have passed. Athena has gathered her victories, her losses, and her lessons, and wears them like invisible armor around her heart. Now you find yourself on a quiet street in the city of Athens, on a cool, starlit night. The rain has stopped, leaving the air fresh and the stone pathways glistening with puddles that mirror the constellations above. You walk alongside Athena, though to mortal eyes she appears not as a majestic armored goddess, but as a tall, hooded woman in a simple blue cloak. In this humble disguise, she often walks among her people unknown, watching over them from the shadows. An owl flutters down from a rooftop and perches on Athena's shoulder, the same owl that is ever her silent companion. It blinks its round golden eyes and surveys the street with quiet wisdom. Athena moves with a soft grace through the sleeping city. It is past midnight. Most windows are dark, yet here and there life stirs. You both pause by an open courtyard where a young mother is rocking her feverish child, whispering a lullaby to soothe his cries. Athena's eyes softens at the sight. With a gentle gesture of her hand, she coaxes a breeze carrying the scent of healing herbs through the air. The child's cries ease as the little one drifts back into calmer sleep. The mother, not knowing who to thank for this sudden relief, looks up at the starry sky and mouths a prayer of gratitude to Athena. Standing just beyond the courtyard wall, Athena hears the prayer, and a tender, almost wistful smile touches her lips. You walk on, further down the lane, under the silvery glow of the moon. A pair of young lovers sit on a doorstep, holding each other close and exchanging soft words of affection. Athena watches from the shadows of an olive tree as the lovers share a gentle kiss. There is no envy in Athena's gaze, only a distant melancholy. In her long life, she has witnessed love in countless forms, passionate and reckless, steady and devoted, tragic and redemptive. But she herself remains apart from it all, by choice, by fate, or both. Aphrodite's honeyed magic never touched Athena's spirit. The goddess of love has no sway over one who vowed herself to reason and war. She tilts her head as if trying to recall whether she ever felt such warmth for another. The owl on her shoulder gives a quiet hoot, drawing her out of her reverie. Athena exhales a breath she didn't realize she was holding and continues on her solitary walk. As she walks, her thoughts drift like clouds across the moon. She thinks of the bonds she has formed not in romance, but in companionship and guidance. There was the clever hero Odysseus, for instance, whom she adored in her own way for his wit and spirit. Through years of war and a decade of wandering, Athena watched over him, whispering advice in his ear, steering him away from danger, unseen. In those adventures, she felt a quiet kinship. When Odysseus felt despair on endless seas, it was Athena who summoned breezes to push his ship gently onward. When he longed for home, it was Athena who inspired his heart to persevere. She remembers standing invisible at his side on the shores of Ithaca, smiling with pride as he at last embraced his beloved family. Though Athena received no loving embrace herself in that moment, the joy in Odysseus's eyes had been thanks enough. Guiding him was an expression of her care, a taste of the fulfillment others find in love. She thinks, too, of all the brave souls she has silently guided. Perseus, swinging his sword at the Gorgon, with her hand steadying his. Heracles feeling a burst of clarity, in madness when Athena intervened. Diomedes daring to duel gods, with Athena's aegis upon him. These were the closest she came to partnership, those moments of shared purpose. Though they were fleeting and bound by duty, in them Athena found a certain companionship of the spirit. Perhaps it is not the same as the mortal love shared in a tender kiss, but it is real and meaningful in its own right. In the successes of those she aided, she felt a warm glow of connection, a quiet knowledge that through her, lives were better, burdens were eased, destinies reached. As you follow her, you feel the weight of her solitude. It's not a stifling sadness, but a gentle, constant presence, like the evening breeze that always comes, but never quite embraces you. Athena's isolation is self-imposed. She carries it with the same dignity as her spear, yet it is there. She has close relationships of a kind, comradeship with heroes, familial bonds with fellow gods, respect from mortals. But the intimate softness of being truly seen and loved for herself that she has locked away. To allow such vulnerability could be a weakness, and Athena has vowed never to be weak. And so, nights like these are when a small part of her wonders, what if? What if she could let down her guard, even once, and be just a woman beneath the armor? The question drifts through her mind like a wisp of cloud crossing the moon, and then it is gone. Athena's path takes you both to the foot of the Acropolis, where the great temple, the Parthenon, stands proud against the sky. At this late hour, no worshippers are present. The massive columns gleam faintly in the moonlight. Athena quietly ascends the steps of her temple, and you sense she often comes here alone at night when she doesn't have to wear the mask of the perfect goddess for anyone. Inside, a single oil lamp is kept burning as an eternal flame, symbol of her eternal vigil over the city. Its golden light flickers over Athena's statues and the engravings that tell stories of her deeds. Athena lifts her hood back, letting her helmet materialize once more, and her true form subtly emerges from the disguise. The owl leaves her shoulder to roost atop a statue of Nike, Athena's herald of victory. The goddess walks slowly down the center of the hall, her fingers trailing lightly along the grooves of the columns, as if greeting old friends. Here, in the hush of her sanctuary, Athena's face is unguarded. There is no need to smile politely, nor to harden with authority. She looks weary. Even a goddess can grow weary, it seems. Her steps echo in the sacred space, and in one shadowy corner she notices a single spider diligently weaving its web between two rafters. The delicate threads glint in the lamplight. Athena pauses, following the tiny creature's patient work with her eyes. It calls to mind a memory, the mortal weaver Arachne, whose tapestries once rivaled the gods. Arachne's skill had been extraordinary, but her pride and Athena's own pride had clashed in a test of craftsmanship. When Arachne's loom depicted the failings of the gods too truthfully, Athena's anger had flared. In a moment of wounded pride and regret, Athena had transformed the girl into a spider, condemning her to weave in silence for eternity. It was a stern lesson for both mortal and goddess, a reminder of the fine line between confidence and arrogance, between justice and vengeance. Now, as Athena watches the little spider spin its silvered pattern, she feels not wrath but a gentle ruefulness. "I have not forgotten you, Arachne," she murmurs softly, her voice carried only to your ears and the spider above. There is a hint of apology in her tone that no one but the night and perhaps the spider's spirit can discern. In this quiet hour, Athena can acknowledge what she would never openly admit by daylight, that even in her righteousness, she has made mistakes fueled by emotion. And with that acknowledgement comes a measure of wisdom deeper than any book could teach, the wisdom of humility. She stops before a polished bronze mirror mounted on a pillar, perhaps placed for the high priestess, but tonight it reflects Athena's own face. She gazes at herself, the strong brow, the steady gray eyes, the expression that so often is composed into regal serenity. Now, when she's sure no one is watching, a hint of sorrow creases her brow. You stand beside her and see what she sees. Past her reflection, you also notice something etched in small letters on the base of the mirror. Leaning in, you read an inscription: "Know yourself." A simple directive, yet how profound for Athena, who spends so much time embodying what others need her to be. In a rare moment of candor, Athena speaks aloud, her voice barely above a whisper. Who am I, truly, when all are gone and the world is quiet? The emptiness of the temple offers no answer except the soft echo of her words. Even Athena, with all her wisdom, sometimes wonders what lies beneath her own layers of duty and legend. Athena closes her eyes and lowers her head. The owl gives a gentle coo from its perch, as if to comfort her. Athena reaches up and removes her helmet, setting it at her feet. Her long, dark hair spills free over her shoulders. Then she unstraps the Aegis shield from her arm and props it carefully against the altar. The carved face of Medusa upon it catches the lamplight, a frozen snarl. Athena's eyes flick to the Gorgon visage. She lifts a hand and drapes a silken cloth over the shield, veiling that grim face for now. It's a symbolic gesture. Tonight, she will not wear fear or anger as her shields. Tonight, she allows herself a moment of defenselessness in the privacy of her temple. Bareheaded, unshielded, Athena sinks to her knees before the altar where the lamp burns. She doesn't pray, for who would a goddess pray to? Instead, she simply listens to the crackle of the flame, to the night wind outside, to her own heartbeat. You kneel quietly beside her, sharing this vigil. In that flame's glow, Athena's carefully maintained composure melts into something more vulnerable. Her eyes shine, and a single tear escapes, tracking down her cheek. She bows her head, and for a moment, her shoulders shudder with a silent sob that she quickly stifles. The owl remains still and respectful, understanding this unspoken grief. What does Athena cry for? Perhaps for all that she has lost or given up. Her childhood friend Pallas, innocently slain by her own hand. The mortal lives lost in Poseidon's flood and other wars that duty forced her to wage. The violation and tragedy of Medusa, which she can never undo. The love she has never allowed herself to experience. The children she will never have. The simple joys she will never fully taste. All of it contained in one quiet moment of tears. But as the goddess of wisdom, she also cries for the wisdom in these sorrows. She knows that every burden she carries has taught her something, shaped who she is. Pallas taught her the value of cherished friendship and the pain of loss. Poseidon's rivalry taught her caution and empathy for those who suffer when gods fight. Medusa's story taught her that unchecked wrath can birth nightmares, and that even she is not infallible. These lessons are heavy, yes, but they are part of knowing oneself. And Athena, above all, seeks to know and understand, even when it hurts. After a few minutes, Athena inhales deeply and lets out a long, steady breath. She wipes the tear from her cheek. The moment of raw vulnerability passes, and in its wake comes a gentle peace. Catharsis, perhaps. The flame on the altar seems to dance a little brighter, as if reassuring her. The owl flutters down and nuzzles her shoulder, eliciting a faint smile from the goddess. She raises a hand to stroke its soft feathers. "I'm all right," she murmurs to her feathered friend, voice tender. And it's true. She has bent under the weight of her feelings for a moment, but she is not broken. Athena remains, as ever, strong. Rising to her feet, Athena straightens her tunic and rolls her cloak around her shoulders. She picks up her helmet and settles it back in place, tucking away the loosened strands of her hair. She removes the cloth from her shield, revealing Medusa's visage once more, the face now only a tool, not a torment in this instant. When Athena dons her aegis again, it is with a quiet forgiveness toward herself. She knows why the Gorgon face is there and what it represents, and she accepts it as part of her story. With her armor back on, Athena stands tall and composed. The moment of midnight vulnerability is hidden once more behind divine grace. But you, having witnessed it, sense a subtle difference. The peace that follows a storm, the clarity that comes after tears. Athena's gray eyes seem softer as she looks around her empty temple. Alone, yes, but not lonely at this moment. She has made peace with her solitude, at least for now. In the silence, she finds companionship in her city's sleeping presence, in the owl at her side, and perhaps even in your understanding eyes upon her. Athena turns and walks back toward the temple doors, and you walk with her. The owl launches into flight ahead of you, gliding out into the night. Stepping out onto the marble porch, you both gaze over Athens. The Parthenon's columns cast long, slanting shadows down the hillside. Far below, the winding streets and agoras lie silvered and silent, and beyond the city's edge, the Aegean Sea stretches out like a dark, sleeping creature, its surface gently rippling under the moon's gaze. Here and there, a hearth fire's smoke rises in a delicate ribbon, the last sign of mortals turning in for the night. The rain-washed streets glimmer in the moonlight. The city is safe and quiet under her watch. Athena's heart swells with a gentle pride and love for her people. This is her purpose, her solace. Though she may never share her innermost self with another in the way mortals do, she pours her love into protecting and guiding this city and all who seek her wisdom. It is an impersonal love, perhaps, but a powerful and enduring one. In the wind that rustles through the olive groves, you almost hear a whisper. The city loves her back. In every whispered prayer, in every offering left at her statue's feet, there is affection and gratitude. Together you stand, Athena and you, a silent pair gazing over the starlit Acropolis. You feel profoundly that despite everything, or perhaps because of everything, Athena endures with dignity and compassion. She has not allowed bitterness to consume her. Her mind, though burdened with secrets and regrets, remains a source of illumination for others. She carries on, as constant as the North Star, even if none but you will ever see the small cracks in her armor. Eventually, the owl returns, circling and then coming to rest on Athena's forearm. It's time to leave the mortal city to its dreams. Athena nods to you, indicating that your journey with her is nearing its end. You follow her down the steps of the Parthenon, each footstep echoing softly. At the base of the stair, a gentle mist begins to curl around your feet, the border between her mind and the waking world. Athena turns to you one last time. Though she does not speak aloud, her eyes convey a silent message: gratitude. Thank you, they seem to say, for bearing witness to the truth behind the myth, for walking beside her through the labyrinth of her mind. In those storm-gray eyes, you see a flicker of warmth directed at you, a rare openness. Perhaps in sharing her burden with you, however briefly, it has lightened by the slightest fraction. You bow your head respectfully to the goddess, acknowledging all that she has shared. Softly, as if carried on a breeze, you hear Athena's voice in your mind. Farewell, traveler. Remember what you have seen. The words are both an instruction and a blessing. Your surroundings begin to blur as the mist thickens, obscuring the temple and the night sky. The scent of olive trees and the distant hush of the Aegean Sea fade gently away. The next thing you know, you are back where you began, in the quiet hall of memory, those bronze doors before you once more. The rain outside has diminished to a faint drizzle, the storm of Athena's emotions now long past. You step through the bronze doorway, leaving Athena's mind behind with a sense of reverence and calm. Back in the softness of your own world, you find yourself relaxed and perhaps a bit lighter in spirit, as if learning of Athena's secret struggles has eased your own. The rain's patter is a lullaby against your window. You become aware of the gentle weight of your blankets, the softness of the pillow cradling you. The air around you is cool and calm, and the subtle scent of rain might linger in your room, like the last notes of a soothing song. Each breath you draw is unhurried and full, and you release it softly, letting any remaining tension slip away. In this peaceful state, you carry with you a piece of Athena's wisdom and resilience. The burdens you witnessed fade into the night, leaving only lessons and a profound sense of understanding. You are safe, you are calm, and a quiet strength settles in your heart. The goddess you walked with tonight watches over you in her own way, her presence as comforting as the silver moonlight that peeks through the clouds. Your eyelids grow heavier with each passing moment. The patter of rain is a lullaby against your window, steady and reassuring. It almost sounds like a gentle voice telling you that it's all right to let go now, to drift into the deepest, most restful sleep. Perhaps, as you lie here, you imagine a soft, winged silhouette perched just outside your window, Athena's owl, standing silent guard through the night. It watches over you, its golden eyes blinking slowly, assuring you that you are not alone. In the realm of dreams, Athena's gentle wisdom surrounds you like a shield that nothing dark can penetrate. You are enveloped in tranquility. Now there is nothing more you need to do, nowhere else you need to be. Simply float in this safe feeling. Let the quiet hum of night and the fading patter of rain carry you deeper and deeper into sleep. Your breathing is slow, your body is heavy and warm, and your mind is calm. The story has been told, the journey completed, and it settles in you like a softly falling feather, weightless, peaceful. Sleep now, knowing you are cherished and protected in the embrace of the night. Sleep, and when dawn comes, may you awake refreshed, with a light heart and a wise mind, ready to greet a new day. But for now, give in to the gentle pull of dreams. You have earned this rest. Thank you for staying with me through this gentle odyssey. If you found peace or wonder in this tale, please remember to tap the like button or even share it with someone else who might need a soothing story tonight. Your presence and support mean the world to me. Now, let your mind drift easily, carrying the tranquility of this story into your dreams. Until we meet again, sleep well, dear one. Good night.